talks the talk, but walks the walk. She's also a sailor, so she has lots of interesting things in her background, and we welcome her to Jon Stewart.
Uniqueness, I think, of our college is that it's really like the microcosm of Israel. We have 20% of Arabs, Christians and Muslims. We have newcomers from Ethiopia, from Russia. We have many Jews. Some of them are secular, some are religious, some even ultra-Orthodox, not many. And it's a big mixture of people, and I think it's wonderful to work in such a multi-identity environment, multicultural environment, in a way, as you have here. And I see this as an opportunity to give our students, future teachers, give them some tools to deal also with the multicultural groups in our schools in Israel. And part of what I do is use them for dialogues in between them. And when I mean dialogue, is not sitting in the class and listen to a lecture. Yes, this can be a start, but really have a dialogue when they bring themselves and touch their inner world and in talking with someone else and also in a larger group. So you've heard, I guess some of you have heard about the Arab-Jewish dialogue that we have, and Yellin and Nadia were participating in such group that we start in Israel and then we go to Belfast and have dialogue also with the Protestant and Catholic students. Some of them come to you as well. So it's kind of a joint program where they come to us and we go to there, enlarging our dialogue by seeing other conflicts in the world, learning from other conflicts. And also as future teachers, look at schools and look at solutions people do in order to have a multi-identity dialogue, especially in places that they have a conflict. So even though in Belfast they already have a peace agreement, they still work on the relationship between the Protestant and Catholic. In Israel, we're not there yet, but we really think that it's very important for our teachers to be able to see the other, know about the other narrative. But I think you heard, and we will probably hear a lot about the Arab-Jewish dialogue. I would like to talk a little bit about another project that we started 2 years ago, and this is building a living bridge. We call it a living bridge with Poland. So I'm sure all of you know that many Jews died on Polish lands. Some Polish people helped the Jewish people, some Polish people helped the Germans. I'm not judging, I'm not in this position to judge. I don't know what I would do if I was a Polish woman and my neighbor was a Jew and he would ask me to hide him, and I would know that if someone will catch me or my family will die. I don't put myself in this position. It's very difficult. So what we do, we have a project that is based on looking at the future. We are not ignoring the past. You cannot ignore the past. Whoever goes to Poland, the past is sticking from all over. Wherever you go, not only for Jewish people. Polish people suffered a lot in the Second World War. But knowing the past, we look at the future, look at our students, we do it with students in Poland, and thinking what is in common between those students, how they can build a bridge, what they can talk about, what their vision in life. And there are many, many similarities, of course, because, young people more or less are looking at the same things in the world, to be happy, they want to have meaningful life, etc. And we also like to try and touch the past. This is difficult. This is very difficult. It's more difficult for the Polish students because they don't know so much what the grandparents were doing and what happened really in the village. And Jews and Polish culture has a lot of words, and food and customs and many ideas. So they want to know about it. They want to know about Yiddish, which this was a language that Jewish people spoke in Poland. And I was just telling yesterday that I went to a theater in Yiddish in Warsaw, and all the audience around me were not your age, but my students' age, listening to a simultaneous translation to a musical in Yiddish on stage. So there is a big, I would say, there is a kind of revival looking at Jews, looking at Israel living in a conflict. What does it mean? And you have to know that the Polish history, it had a lot of trouble throughout the years, and many areas were in Russia, and Poland was tiered into different pieces throughout the world, so they know about it. So we found that there is a big, I wouldn't say need, but they're eager to know. So we have this dialogue, called Living Bridges, I said, and it's a week in Poland and a week in Jerusalem, and we do all kinds of activities in order to really meet the other by name, not big Polish, but meeting Poland, meeting Nate, meeting those people and really get to know each other. And we've been doing it for 2 years, we'll do it again next year. It's really working very well. They come to Israel, they stay in the house of our students, and they would say, I would never believe that we'll be able to be in a Jewish home, or the Jewish students would say, I would never believe that my kids will play with the Polish people. And so we build bridges, physically bridges, they build bridges in small groups, physical, and then hopefully talk about what does it mean to live, build a bridge. So this is very different than what usually Israelis do in Poland, because in high school, your age, many schools go to visit the death camps, Auschwitz, Birkenau. They really go to the roots, because in Israel it's very important to some people to remember that we don't want this. Well, it's a good story, I have to rephrase it. Everybody knows, nobody wants that something like the Holocaust will ever happen again. But in Israel, because we are a tiny country and we are not in totally safe conditions, it's very important for us that the young people will know that the roots and will know that nothing like this can happen again. So they go to the Holocaust memorial sites, to the death camps, etc., and visit those places. But there is no connection with the Polish society. And this is something that is missing, because Poland is different today. And people have to know, we can't only look at the past, we have to look at the future. So touching the past, yes we do, we have to know about the past. But we have to look, what can we do for the future, for best for our kids. And I'm sure that both Polish teachers and Israeli teachers will introduce the Holocaust topic and the World War II topic to the pupils in a different way after building this living bridge between themselves.
Thank you, Ruth. Questions? Any interest in getting involved in any of the projects that she's doing?
Actually, I had a question. Is the Living Bridge project is specifically right now for aspiring teachers, or is it a way to get people to think about different ways of teaching students, or is it more?
Okay, I'll answer this. We are doing this project with an organization in Israel that's called Spark Pro. You can understand the word. And it started with a man that was, like many other in Israel, has roots in Poland, with grandparents, and he thought that this direction of building a bridge, a living bridge, and not only looking at the past, and also just be disconnected from the society is wrong. And he started to do those things more into 24/7 together. You build a group together, Polish and Israelis, and they are together. And this will work out. We took it to the education level, because we want more of analyzing, reflective thinking of what we do, and people in Israel, I think, maybe I'm judgmental, but I think I'm right, have a lot of difficulties to see the other one as a victim. You know, we've been victims in many cases, and for Israelis to see the Polish as victims is very, very hard. By meeting this point, you have to understand that they were victims as well. And I think we are going toward this direction because in those schools visits, they are getting more and more people are having meetings with young people. So it's getting there. And it's very, very important, I think.
Thank you.
More questions? Okay. Yes?
You mentioned that at the college there are a lot of Russian and Ethiopian immigrants. And I'm wondering how people with very different culture and background are fitting into the Jewish Arab conflict once they come to
Okay. The basic thing is that it's not easy to come to another country. Even if you're a Jew, people who come from Eastern Europe, some of them live totally different life, the secular life, mostly secular life. And some of them were even ignoring, I would say, their Jewish roots. Sometimes it's mixed. And when they come to Israel, there are two ways, generally. Some would go more into Judaism, become more religious, sometimes even ultra-Orthodox, and some would be more secular. That's mostly for the Russians and other people that come from Eastern Europe. There is also a tendency to, like any other place in the world, to click with your own people. So most Russians will have Russian friends. Even when they're students, it's kind of, there are mixtures, you know, but naturally you go with people that have the same background, same language, same music, etc. Ethiopian will be more or less the same. With Ethiopians, it's also, most of them are religious, or at least conservative. And also, they also tend to be with their owns. But when they come to the college, they separate, you know, they come to the college and they become, you know, that's a very good to get into the society because it's a mixed one. Now, as far as the Arab-Jewish conflict, they are part of the society. So it's up to them. So if I look at the 11 years that I've been doing those dialogues between Arabs and Jews, I had one Ethiopian girl and 4 girls who came from Eastern Europe. Just happened to be like this. But people are seeing this conflict as part of their life. Is this answering your question? Okay. It's a good question. Nobody asked me this before. Thank you. Okay. Any more? Yes, please.
I'm just kind of curious, is that in Israel, would they still have like discrimination like against Polish because they did bad things in the World War II?
Okay. Polish in Israel, people who come from Poland will be Jews. So we don't see them as Polish, as we don't see the Russian as Russian, we see them as Jews. So there is no discrimination at all. Okay. Yes? Go on. Right? Is it okay with the questions? Okay. Yes.
So we looked at a lot of conflicts worldwide, like in Belfast and Poland and Israel outside. And do you notice that a lot of conflicts are kind of the same in their nature, or are they already different based on location?
Okay, it's a good question. I think there are a lot of similarities. It starts with land. People fight over land. In Israel, it's mostly talking about the lands. Who will live where? And so if Israel, and there was a 67 war, Israel won, captured some of the land. This land, by Bible, is part of, you know, if you look at the Bible, it's part of the Jewish promised land. Okay? Arabs lived there when Jews didn't live there, and now who's going to live on this land? In Belfast. This is not a conflict between Catholic and Protestant. The conflict, it's a national conflict between Ireland, Irish people, people that belong to, you know, the people that came to Northern Ireland came from Scotland, Wales, etc. fight over land, but also culture, tradition, the way we look at things. Now in Israel, the difference is also not only land, but it's totally different religions as well. Even though we are supposed to be cousins, that's it. Now, for example, I was in Taiwan, and I found out that in Taiwan they have a very similar problem because China wants Taiwan to be part of China. And again, it's a fight over land. Taiwan wants their independence, as Palestinian wants a state. So I would say that the similarities will be land, especially when war were involved. And as I said before, Poland, and my father came from Russia. When he grew up, it was Russia. Then when he was a teenager, it was Poland, etc. Those lands went from side to side. And I think another thing is power. With land comes power. So why do China wants Taiwan, this little place, this huge China? Power, okay. But it goes with land. And I think culture and religion. Anybody else? You know to think. I like it. I like it that you ask questions and you're thinkers. It's not, in some places that I visited, mostly in the Far East, they are afraid to ask questions. Maybe my question will put me in a weird situation. And you were asking, and I saw it in the classes, and it's wonderful. That's the best way, I think, to learn, really, to ask questions. And this is your responsibility, teachers. Good for you. Okay, anybody else? Yes?
Do you speak Yiddish?
Okay, do I speak Yiddish? This is going to be a little funny. I'm a sailor, as you heard before, and sailing in Israel, I don't know why, but many Yiddish words. Now, Yiddish is a very juicy, first of all, I will explain what Yiddish is for those who doesn't know. Jewish people were not allowed to speak the language of the Bible. That's Hebrew. The language that we speak in Israel now is Hebrew. Now, the religious people were not supposed to speak with the holy language. So Jews in Eastern Europe would speak Yiddish, which is similar, it comes from German. And Jews in Greece, Turkey, Bulgaria, this area would speak Ladino. Ladino is Spanish. Where is the Spanish teacher? She's not here. Okay, we talked about it. Ladino is is a kind of a dialect of Spanish that Jewish people would speak, and very similar. If you know Ladino, you can manage with Spanish. Now I go back to the question of Yiddish. Now Yiddish is a very, very juicy language. Has a lot of slang in it, a lot of variation, a lot of stories, a lot of jokes. And somehow in sailing, Yiddish came into the language. So for example, anybody here sails? Okay, so what do you say when there's no wind? You went out when the sail's no wind. Nowhere. You say no wind. Okay. So in Hebrew, even if you're this age and you start sailing, you say how was it? It was still. Still. No wind. Okay, so kids don't know they speak Yiddish, but this is Yiddish. And then there are other words that are coming into the language. So I started speaking Yiddish by sailing. And then I sailed with many people who were Jews that escaped from Poland to South Africa, and New Zealand, came to Israel, and I was sailing with them. And they used a lot of Yiddish on boats. So I would come home, and my father would speak Yiddish, which I was shocked that I bring all kinds of words like this. So I can speak maybe 30 words in English, but I can manage with Ladino, with Spanish Jewish. Okay. Yes?
Is the Arab population in the school from the Palestinian side or all?
In our college? Okay, it's another complicated question. First of all, I want to say that that Arabs, they will put, if I will ask you, what are you? As identity, you'll have your own answer, I'll have my own answer. Arabs would answer many different ways, which will go with their political beliefs, basically. So, there is a big division If you were in Israel before 48, before the independence war, you would call Israeli Arabs, by us, by Jews. But you could describe yourself as a Palestinian who live in Israel. It's up to you how you identify yourself, or that's your identity. It can be like this now, and maybe in 20 years you will say something else. So you could say, would be my friends from inside Israel. Before the war of 67 and 48, it would be, I'm an either Israeli Arab, or I'm a Palestinian who live in Israel. That's one thing. Now, East Jerusalem has a unique position, very difficult one. I call it neither nor, because East Jerusalem is not formally part of the West Bank, and it's not totally part of Jerusalem. It's under the municipality of Jerusalem. I don't think there is a place like this in the world. It's under the municipality of Jerusalem as far as water, municipality services, but they are not Israeli citizens. So they cannot vote for the Israeli parliament, for the Knesset, but they can vote for the municipality, for the mayor, if they want to. And they don't have a passport, an Israeli passport. Their identity card will be different. And they can have a Jordanian passport, but they cannot go out of Israel with a Jordanian passport. They have what we call laissez-passer, which is a paper, looks like a passport, where they go to all kind of places, but unfortunately, any place they go, except Jordan, Egypt, Syria, I think maybe Kuwait, they need a visa. So they would be East Jerusalem Arab or Palestinian from East Jerusalem. So it's complicated. Now I go back to your question. So in the college, we have students that would come from up north Israel and will call themselves either Israeli Palestinians or Arab Israelis, and we will have students come from East Jerusalem. And there will be East Jerusalem students who, in many cases, don't speak Hebrew, speak only Arabic and English. So I would teach lessons mixed with Arabic and with English and Hebrew. I can understand Arabic. They can teach in Arabic, but I cannot teach, unfortunately, in Arabic. And so the 20-25% will be a mixture. Now it goes by years. It started mostly with Arabs from up north, from Israel, and then they started to have colleges for for Arabs. So we have now more students from East Jerusalem, because in East Jerusalem there is no place to study, to become a teacher. It's difficult, but it's fascinating, and this is the only way to really understand what's happening in the country. So if I take a group of students to Belfast, and in your group there are students like now, the student that I have now, I'm waiting to hear from them, from East Jerusalem, everybody goes with them through the painful process of getting a visa, while the rest, Arabs and Jews inside Israel, don't need any visa to those students. Okay. And now the relationship between the Eastern Jerusalem students and the Arab students, which, well, they can be, most of them Muslims, and some of them are Christians. Many people don't even think that in Israel there are Christian Arabs, which are two different groups altogether. So even among the Arabs, we have different groups. Anybody else? Yes?
I'm trying to think about, for instance, you taught a plethora of students probably in your life, and all different kinds of students. Could you give a recommendation for our students in what you want out of somebody in the world? Essentially, what would you want a student to be like? What kind of characteristics do you want them to have as they move forward in their life?
Well, I'm talking about educational students that will be teachers. That's the question, or you?
Or students in general, anybody going out into the world.
I think now that there is globalization. I mean, things are similar in many places. I think what I would like to see is that people that are open-minded, people that are know that they don't know, don't behave like they know everything. I don't know, I'm learning every day. she's learning every day here. I'm learning every day too. Really respect the other. Really respect the other. Be able to listen to the other narrative, even if it's not mine, even if it's painful. Try to find solutions, but understand that solutions are not always there. And we have to work towards solution, and solution for this moment now might not be a solution for the next step. I think honest, first of all, to yourself, and really listen to yourself. Because many times we do things for our parents, for our society, not for. We do things because our parents want us to do things. I know that I'm a mother as well, and I try to respect the way my kids do. I give advices, but I want them to listen to themselves. I don't want them to do things because I tell them it's good for you. Understand that the way has ups and downs, and be responsible for others. Don't think only about yourself. And the last thing maybe would be, before you open your mouth, think. To whom are you talking and how do they listen to you? What do you think they will understand? Not only what do you want to say, but also how they receive it. And, ego. Ego is leading us very strongly, all of us.